Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. If it's MSG-free, if it's gluten-free, if it's GMO-free, if it's hypoallergenic, and it's a Bible study, and it's 5 minutes, well, then it must be Daily Dose Radio. And that's what you found. Welcome, friends. We're looking at Psalm 119, and today we're going to be looking at verses 14 and 15. So I hope you'll join me, take your Bibles, and we'll read along. And remember, now I'm reading from my own translation, which I've warned you now is my translation. So if you've got something that you like better, then stick with it. If you trust it, stick with it, because, like I said, my translation can be, it can be some, maybe a little bit different, and I'm just trying to stimulate the conversation and stimulate your holy mind as we go through this 119th Psalm. So let me read what I've got for you in verses 14 and 15. In the way of your testimonies I have rejoiced, as much as in all wealth. I will meditate upon your precepts, and I will look to your ways. Now that's verses 14 and 15. We're studying here Psalm 119, and I think you'll recall just the other day I talked about there being I don't want to call it a thematic word, but it's really, that's kind of the purpose that it serves. In the first octonary, the olive section, we had the word keep. In this one, we have the word way, and we began with the way of the young man, his way. How can a young man make his way clean? So that was the opening question, and of course, then the thing that we're concerned about is the way of the young man, making it clean. And we've been looking at different things that the young man can do to keep his way clean. Keeping, according to the Word, that's sort of the topic sentence. Now, keeping, according to the Word, is going to be broken down for us. So what does keeping look like? Well, in verse 10, seeking the Lord with all the heart. And in verse 11, treasuring up his words. And in verse 12, being taught by the Lord and seeking, actually, that teaching. That's the idea there. And then verse 13, declaring all the judgments of his mouth. Now we come to verses 14 and 15, and we see another way in which keeping, according to the Word, is found, and that is, in the way of your testimonies I have rejoiced, as much as in all wealth. So rejoicing in the Word is another way of keeping. But we have now, instead of the young man's way, we see that as we come to the end of this section, it's going to be the way of the Lord, in the way of your testimonies. And then we have in verse 15, I will look to your ways. So now, after we've been outlining and identifying all of these keeping words, all these keeping actions, seeking, treasuring up, being taught by, meditating, declaring, all of these things, rejoicing, we understand that these are his ways. So his ways are now going to be our ways. It's no longer to be, how can a young man make his way clean? But it's going to be, now his or your way, O Lord, is my way. So the way of the Lord now sort of takes over the discussion. I will meditate upon your precepts. There's another one of those keeping words. We're meditating. Just as like what we had in verse 11. In my heart I have treasured up your words. And this is the remedy against the sin. This is the remedy against doing things my way, is meditating in his precepts. Actually, all of these things are treasuring up the word and so forth, all that we've covered here. But this is exactly what he wants us to do, to keep his way. And as we keep his way in all of these things, well, we're going to keep ourselves from the sin condition that, dirties up and messes up and pulls us off of the track and derails us into some wreck that we don't want to have, but we're tempted to do. And so all of these things, especially this last one here, meditating upon your precepts, that's good for us. Now tomorrow we're going to look at verse 16, and we'll see something about the delighting and not forgetting. So as we go forward, look at verse 16, and I hope you'll join me tomorrow on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.